starting. So in this video, I just want to run over how you would actually load a column with your sample, how you would run a column. So we've got Alex Buntasaurus with his David Attenborough filming skills, and then we've got the GoPro on the go. So we've got a sample here, and my sample was running 3:1 petroleum ethyl acetate, an organic molecule, showing 2 spots, and I've got 50 milligrams of the sample. Now, in various laboratory manuals on various Salford programs, there will be illustrations of how much silica you will need to column this amount of sample out. So I've made a judgment here that I probably want about a 100:1 ratio of silica to sample. So 50 milligrams of sample, which is in here. I'm going to show it with my glove. It's a spattering of organic here, and I've chosen here a 15-gram column. And when you run a column, you want an appropriate height of between 6 and 8 inches of silica. So it is relevant to load the sample to about that height. Now, various columns around the lab, and I just take one here used by another student somewhere. This is room dry. You can have various sizes of columns, and you need to be judging around about 6 to 8 inches in height. So I would say that's possibly around about there, but if I was using this column, I'd be loading it up to here. Some of the columns in the lab are already indicating how much silica they would take. This takes about 20 grams. I know up to there is about 12 grams of silica, and that's relevant for my needs here. So what we want to do, well, the silica has been weighed out on a balance into the fume cupboard. I'm going to show you how to do this onto the open bench, but should a fume cupboard be available in your teaching space, which it will be at the University of Salford, would ask you to move into a fume cupboard. What we don't want to be doing is to inhale in silica. We don't want silicosis later on in life. So we've got a column, we've got a glass reservoir, we've got an adapter on the top, so I'll just take some of the clips off, which move itself. Let's take it off here. So we've got the adapter set up and a bellows. So if I was just to make sure that the bellows, first of all, isn't perforated or ripped, you can hopefully hear a little hand fart as we're moving through. So this is an appropriate bellows to maintain pressure. So that will come off in a moment. Other things we need: the stand and then the clamp set up correctly. We need clean boiling tubes, so visually inspect the boiling tubes to make sure they're clean. We need to be comfortable when we're working. Notice I'm sat down here, and we need this to be sturdy as well. I'll show you how to set this up in a moment. We need some solvent to dissolve our organic sample. Make sure that you do some tests beforehand to know that this solvent will dissolve this. Some organic molecules will not go into DCM chloroform. They may need methanol and ethanol as you're moving through here. Got some sand to put on top of the silica. I've already made up a supply of appropriate amounts of 3:1 petrol to ethyl acetate solvent. I think this, just short of 500 ml, is enough for my needs for this column. I've got a funnel. We have a pipette with a glass spotter in that we'll need as we're moving through here. We have a piece of filter paper to spots as we're moving along, and we have appropriate TLC cards with intersections showing 1 to 7 for spots, and then the mixture that will need to be spotted on. So I can put 1 to 7 test tubes onto this one, and then move through to 8 to 14, 15 to 21 as appropriate. So make sure you've got enough TLC cards and cuts as you're moving through here. Some tweezers and a TLC jar. So how are we going to do this? Well, whenever you're doing a column, you should be done in 15 minutes at the most. If your column's taking all day, that is bad news. So get it done in 15 to 20 minutes, at the very most 20 minutes we'll say, and make sure when you set your column up, you're not going to be distracted. So, chaps and ladies, the year is 2017, you could be watching this in 2020, 25, when a robot will be doing my job. Get rid of your phones, get rid of your iWatches, just be a person, concentrate on the chemistry. Right, what are we going to do? Well, let's load the column first. So, time to stand up for myself here. Here's my silica, here's my solvent. I want to make a slurry. So what do? I'm going to judge an amount of solvent that I need, maybe about 20 to 30 ml of solvent. And I like bucket chemistry, so I'm just going to put 20 to 30 ml in, and I'm going to make my slurry up as I'm moving through here, and it needs to move as a slurry as we pour it into here. The other thing that the column has got already is a plug, cotton wool plug, or some kind of silica plug at the bottom. So this is a cotton wool plug. This has already been packed down. I'm going to take the reservoir off, put the reservoir on the top. Let's put it down here. And now my funnel comes into place. I'm going to take another beaker. I'm going to put the beaker under there, which I'm going to run out excess solvent. So as I create my slurry, I give it a mix, and then 1, 2, 3, I pour it in. And now, what I shall need to do is to open the tap of the column, and we need to pack down the first slurried silica. So I take a pipette with solvent, I rinse round the neck here, I take the bellows, just get this out of the way for the moment, put the bellows on, and I start to pack down the silica. But when you're doing this, notice I've got specs on, notice that rasp of solvent shooting up then. We don't want solvents in pies, in eyes as we say in Bolton. So let's pack it down. We've judged here that we've picked a column out which has a flow of a drop per second. That's an appropriate rate. We don't want the drop being once every 4, 5, 6 seconds. If that's the case, when you're loading your slurry up, stop, because you've probably picked a column with a blockage somewhere. You'll need to start again or pick an appropriate column out. So we want a drop per second. When we inflate this, we don't want it to look like a football. It will pop, ladies and gents. You'll end up with a ringing eardrum or two for the rest of the week. So let's pack the silica down. We'll ask Buntosaurus TV to identify here that the silica is near enough found a level. Probably found its level here. Put my finger on while I keep pumping away. And now that's the appropriate height that I need. So I don't want any more silica in. That's probably the amount of silica that I need with my judgment. So now I'm going to pack down the solvent, and I don't want the silica running dry, so we'll ask Alex in a moment to come back. The silica is near enough level, the solvent's packing down, and what we don't want is this silica running dry. So about 1.5 centimetres, 2 centimetres above, which will probably be in a few seconds time, I'm going to take the bellow away, and now I've got silica around the neck of the column. So now what we want to do is to rinse the neck of the column with solvent, so we pack all the silica down. And it's time then to put the appropriate pressure back to pack the silica down further. That little trace of silica that moved down with washing. In some academic textbooks, practical organic chemistry, in organic textbooks, might now recommend that we put a layer of sand on top here. So I shall do that for you, with you. Good old Blackpool beach sand. Or is it? Probably not. So we'll take a pinch of sand, literally a pinch, and pinch it over the top of the silica. So Alex will show you now this delicious layer of sand over the top of the silica. It's all very well and good for ourselves. So here we're going to wash the sand back down to the top of the silica. and I then again need to pack the sand and the silica down and make sure the solvent doesn't run dry. So I'm going to run down the solvent until maybe half a centimetre over the top of the sand. It's getting close to that point, and then not wanting to run it dry, I'm going to stop, close the key. This is solvent from the bottle, the Jessul bottle, so we'll put that in there. This can be cleaned and dried later on. Now we need to think about getting the column ready, so we'll put our test tube here. Make sure that your columns, you know this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Make sure you know which test tube is which. I said have a spare vial. Sorry, the spare vial with the spotter. Put some solvent in here now. Solvent you're going to column with your spotter, and that's going to go near a piece of filter paper. So we're going to get set up now with our TLC plates. We might need now to think about putting some solvent into the TLC tank. So there's a further video here that I provide for you about how to run TLCs. An appropriate amount of solvent, the ratio is in our tank, we put that on. Our tweezers are there for when we need it. We're getting close now to putting the sample on. Let's now think about loading the sample on. So here is some dichloromethane. I'm going to hold it like this so Alex can see what we're doing, and I need the minimum amount of DCM, a kind of polar organic solvent, to be loaded with the sample. So I'm going to take maybe about half a mil of DCM with that. Notice before I took this up, I was going up, down, up, down, up, down. I want the pipette to be the same temperature of the solvent so it doesn't drizzle out. And now I rinse round with DCM to dissolve the sample, and that's probably half a mil. Here's my pipette, and now I'm going to suck up, down, and mix, wash again, and now the sample is into solution, and this needs loading onto the column. So let's open the key, let's let it drop down as a bank of solvent. So we don't want this to run dry, but we want to get done. So we take the bellows again, we put on, Alex will show you what's happening here. We pressurise down, we get the solvent just onto the top of the sand, we don't want it to run dry, and then there we go. We can either keep the key open, which I'm going to do, and now it's time very quickly to load the sample on. So we suck it up, and now very carefully we drizzle the pipette over the top of the silica, we run it down, we come up, we try not to dribble the pipette onto the neck of the column because we're going to have to wash that down. We want to be careful, chemists, when we're working. A bit more solvent's going to go into the vial. We're going to suck up again. We now thread the pipette ever so gently down over to the top of the solvent. We apply the solution to the side, the inside neck of the column. If we were to put it over the top and push down, we'll create like a vortex and disturb all that. We don't want to do that. So the pipette we're going to get rid of later on. Now we're getting close to running our column, properly running our column. How exciting is this? We put the bellows on, we're going to pack down the sample onto the top of the silica and sand. Alex will show you. We're very close, and when I get to eye level, where it's over the top, I'm going to stop, I'm going to close the key, and I'm going to take some more solvent, rinse round the neck. So I'm going to wash everything onto the top of the sand. I'll open the key, I will pack down again. And then I'll release the pressure, and guess what I'm going to do again? I'm going to do a further rinse, and I'm making sure anything organic is washed onto the top of the sand with the silica. That was about 1.5 mil. I'm going to pack down again. Pack down, pack down, pack down, and then I'm going to take the solvent towards the top of the silicon sand. There we go, right. And now it's a question of judgment and speed here. Let's fill the column up. So I'm going to take the solvent. This could be a beaker that I'm holding, but I'm confident enough to hold the bottle. I'm going to rinse round, round. We're going to rinse round again, around and round and round. There you go. Right, the reservoir's going to go on. We're going to clip it into position, put the clip on, it's into position, and then we need some more solvent. Now, a confident chemist would save all this time and do something else. He or she would put the pipette in at an angle, so the pipette touches the side of the glass, and would use the neck of the pipette and run solvent down it, so we just fill up the reservoir at a speed. Time is of the essence, ladies and gents, when we do a column. We don't want molecules sticking to acidic silica and being degraded. We don't want the polarity bands to be split. So I'm quite happy I've done that in the time that I needed to do that. And now we're there, we're columning away. So we put the top adapter on, we put the next clip on, we sit in position, get rid of that, we don't need that now. We have our test tubes close, we have our spotters and TLC plates at our disposal, and we're going to go. So we're going to pump, as Jan would sing, pump up the pressure, pump up the pressure. YouTube, I think it was about 88 that, Mars, pump up the pressure. Let's get that to the back so we can see what's happening. Now what do? We don't want to be talking to people when we column, we want an adequate pace of solvent running through our column. And now I'm right-handed, I'm going to take the tube away with my right hand, thread the next one along straight away. And Alex is going to come to this side if he's so kind. And look what we're doing now. So we have a pot of solvent with the spotter. We're cleaning the spotter out here. We're going to take sample 1, Luke. Sample 1 is going to go onto here. But one thing that I didn't do a few seconds ago is the mixture vial. I've got a small amount of mixture left in there. I'm going to take some of the mixture up and I'm going to spot it onto the mixture, onto the mixture, onto the mixture. And then each plate has got the mixture on. You can either use some mixture from the vial you've just loaded, or you can use your NMR tube for this. That'll be the correct concentration for this. But already, we're near enough ready for test tube 2 to be pulled out and moved out of position. So that's an adequate pace for my needs. What we're going to do, test tube 2, we're going to swap it over. We're going to spot test tube 2. We're going to spot it as 2 onto the TLC plate. And, ladies and gents, we go along to 7. We take the plate, we put it in there, we do our next TLC plate, we put our plate in there. Once you've got 4 to 5 plates collected, it's time to stop the column. So how are we going to stop the column? Right, if you stop it and you need to stop it, what you need to do is to get the clip, hold the top adapter and push the clip back to break the pressure, pull the clip very gently out with a twist, and if for any reason you need to go to the UV lamp or use a chemical stain, just close the tap. This is a precious piece of glass adapter, so it's probably better it's not dangling on the top of the stand and leave it there. So if you need to go to the UV lamp, break it that way, start again as appropriate, and that, ladies and gents, is how to run the column. Thank you.